Okay, now, before we start this video, peace and love in the comments. I will not take any kind of negativity because that is not what Katt Cares is all about. We are all about positivity and love and kindness and respect. So please be kind, please be loving, please be respectful. Keep it civil. As empowered women, I think you guys will know to respect one another. And I hope that I am an example of that every step of the way, because I want us to all be supportive of one another, especially during these times. Hi guys, welcome back to Katt Cares. This is another week of Ask Katt with another letter submitted by you. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty nervous about this one. I wore a suit because I felt it was appropriate for this topic, because we're gonna be talking about politics, more so the effects that it's had on friendships and just relationships and the way that we interact with one another. This week's letter says, "Dear Katt, I have a very close friend of mine, literally someone I grew up with since 3rd grade, and she was even at my wedding party. She randomly texted me one day and she was questioning our friendship. It all started with the BLM and the protests, and she is very passionate about that and posts all over her social media. She noticed that I wasn't as vocal as she was, and that concerned her and made her question our friendship and our morals. I was very confused because she knows me very well and knows that I am a good person with good morals. It turns out that we have very different political views. It is something that I can look past. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but she just can't seem to get past it. Any advice on how I should handle this? I don't want to lose a very good friend of mine because of politics." Thank you so much for submitting this, because I do think it's a very important conversation to have, especially in this time with the movements happening, with the elections coming up, with the very sensitive times that we live in. We are looking at a new normal. And so being able to handle this and go about it in the best way, and being able to give you some of the best tips and tricks on how to manage this life, I think is such an important conversation to have. So thank you for bringing this to me so that we can have a conversation, and also how to be an empowered woman in these times and what kind of characteristics to kind of bring out in order to be able to coexist. So I always like to start with some praise, so I will start with that. The first thing I will say is that you guys were able to talk about it, and I think that that is going to be my biggest message. Communication is key, and it sounds like even though it didn't end the way maybe you wanted it to, it was still a conversation. And that is the beginning of being able to open a door and to get to know one another. Also, how amazing is it that you have a friendship that has lasted through the test of time? You've known her since 3rd grade. That is such a long time. And you guys continue to be in touch and share some of the most beautiful moments in each other's lives. And that is such a big thing. It sounds like you really do love her and you care about her so much, enough to be able to submit this and talk about this and kind of get some guidance so that you don't lose her friendship. And I think that's huge, because I think it is so important to have people that we care about that much. This sounds like it's a friendship that goes beyond friendship and it goes into being family. And I understand why you don't want to lose that. The other thing I will say is you stay true to yourself. Even though it wasn't what she wanted to hear, it sounds like you were honest. And I think that is so important, to be honest with not just ourselves, but with other people, even when we don't see eye to eye with somebody. It is so important for you to stick to your values and your morals and being able to communicate that. So props to you for being able to stay true to who you are. There was overall what it sounds like respect, and I think that that's another big key thing in moving forward, and something that I want us to all be able to show one another is respect. and kindness. It doesn't sound like that was the problem, so I'm glad that you guys were able to be respectful towards one another. Now, your question was, any advice on how I should handle this? I don't want to lose a very good friend of mine because of politics. This is for all my people out there in general. If you're ever put in this situation where you have a disagreement with someone and maybe you don't see eye to eye and it makes either one of you question the friendship, the one thing I will say, and the one thing that I always say in any kind of situation like this, is ask yourself, is it worth fighting for? If the answer is no, you don't care about that person, you don't care about the friendship, then just move forward. Again, always with respect and kindness, move forward and agree to disagree. But if you do want to continue being friends with this person, as it is in this case, I think that there are a couple of things that you want to be able to keep in mind. The first one is being honest. I think it's important for you to tell her what you told me. I don't want to lose your friendship. And ask her, what is it that concerns you? That way, again, we can have an open dialogue about what's happening, maybe clear some things up. And therefore, again, we continue to create this conversation where we can truly put everything on the table and understand one another. Now, at the end of the day, the biggest thing for us to understand is that we can't control other people. So she may need some time and space to think about it. And she may not be ready to see eye to eye with you or maybe even have a conversation. It is so important to be able to listen to what she's telling you and be able to give her her space, give her time, but at the same time, keep that open line of communication, saying, I don't want to lose your friendship, so whenever you're ready, please talk to me, let's meet up, let's talk about it, etc., etc. Communication is going to be the number one thing, being able to talk about it and being able to understand one another, but always being able to respect and listen to the other person so that we're never overstepping boundaries or pushing too much, because that could also push somebody away. And I think that more than anything, I want you to focus on what you're doing, on your actions. Because if she decides, which she has every right to, if she decides to no longer have a friendship with you, at least you can walk away knowing that you did everything in your power to try to salvage it, to try to have that communication, to keep that connection. But ultimately, when you look back at the situation, I want you to be proud of the way you handled it. And I think this goes in general. We can't control other people. We can only control what we do and how we react to a situation. So whenever you find yourself in any kind of interaction and maybe the other person is rude or disrespectful, always stay true to who you are and continue to abide by your kindness, your respect, your open communication, so that when you look back at that situation, you are never, ever regretful of how you acted. And so that you are proud of the way you handled that situation. I think that is so key. There's a lot of emotions, right? But when we ourselves are able to stay grounded, stay respectful, stay kind, be open and listen, that gives the other person a chance to also do the same. I think it's important to remember that a lot of the conversations we're having are very triggering emotionally. So it's really hard. It's really, really hard to have these conversations. And as we saw with this situation, even people that we've known for a really long time, we're getting to know in a different light. Overall, if we stay respectful, if we stay kind, and if we stay positive, we can be a community of people, not just women, of people that can continue to have these conversations and still be respectful to one another. I think it's important to say in this moment that no matter whether it's politics, religion, or the way you take your coffee, we are going to disagree. We're different. We're all different. And that is okay. I never want you to feel like you have to be like the other person. But that's also why we should build a foundation of kindness, communication, positivity, and listening. This is such a beautiful time to learn and to teach. When we communicate with one another, we are able to learn so much more. We can learn from people of different races, of different ages, of different political views, of different religious views. But we have to be able to listen. Remember, they believe what they believe for a reason. You believe what you believe for a reason. It didn't just come out of nowhere. You didn't just pick out of a hat what you believe in. So when we sit together to try to understand one another and see where the other person is coming from, we can learn so much. And it's okay to disagree. It doesn't mean that after you listen to someone, now you all of a sudden have to take their values and their morals and their views. It just means that now you've expanded your horizons and you were able to see things from a different perspective. As someone who has worked with people from different socioeconomic statuses, of different races, religions, ages, I have gotten to learn so much. I have been able to help so many people, even when their views were different from mine, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter because at the end of the day, we're all here together on this earth and we have to coexist. Honestly, we haven't been able to find another planet where we can live in. All right, so we're stuck in this one. So I want to encourage all of you to continue having conversation, to have different political views on religion and love and life, because that's what makes this life interesting. But again, I think the one thing that I want to see more of out of this whole world is respect and kindness and acceptance. Find people that are different from you. Find people that believe different things from you. Ask questions. Be respectful. Conversation and communication are so key. When we have this open line of communication with one another, we have a chance to tell people information that they may not have known before. And the same thing vice versa. So don't close that opportunity for yourself just because their views may be different. And at the end of the day, don't ever feel like you have to take on somebody else's views, because as an empowered woman, you are open to other people's ideas, but you also are very confident in what you believe in. You gotta have a balance. Keep an open mind, but also know your values and know your core beliefs so that you are strong in them. That is the way to keep a friendship. It's to continue being respectful, to continue keeping that open line of communication with her, and hopefully giving her a chance to come back and sit with you. Let's continue to communicate with one another and create more growth, intellectual, spiritual, emotional growth between one another, because we have that opportunity now. I think we were put in this uncomfortable situation to be able to create that. Thank you for being here. Thank you for staying respectful and kind. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button, and I will be back next week. But until then, always remember, Katt cares. I think overall, we want to live in a world that is just, that is kind, and where we are all treated fairly. And so it's important for us to be able to have different conversations, to learn from one another. This is our opportunity to expand our horizons from what we know.